Dobro utro nashishki. Is that correct? Yeah. Yeah, we tried to learn that over some adult beverages last night. So good morning. I hope you're all doing well. Apologize. I know you hear the American accent. It's a little rough time to be American, but there's two of us here. Trust me, we're we don't agree with where our government's going, but I gotta say I really love the country. It's my first time here. As I mentioned, I work for a big tech company called GoDaddy. So my experiences of, I guess, any exposure to Bulgaria has been the 1994 World Cup team. So I'm a big football fan. I know we say soccer back in the U.S., but it is football, right? And also the exposure has been with GoDaddy. I joined as a crazy American about 4.5 years ago, who worked EMEA hours because I love Europe, and Bulgaria was one of the areas where they needed branding. So I'm not just coming to you with zero knowledge. I hope I can share a little bit that will help you, learn more about employer branding and about yourselves and about your companies. But I also want to take a really quick minute here to if you could join me, give me a round of applause to Detalina, Polina, and the entire Jobs.bg team. They have been phenomenal. I've done many speaking engagements, and I've been treated, me, my family, and just everyone who has come over here as family. So I'm a long way from home. You know, this is the furthest east I've gone. So it's a pleasure to do what I do. Pleasure to be with all of you today, and just great to be treated like family. So let's get into it. So we are going to go beyond the buzzwords, and if I'm speaking too fast at all, please let me know. Just really excited at the moment. But we'll talk about the trends, the common traps and mistakes you will make, but also I'm going to help you elevate, fix what you maybe ways to get better at what you're doing. And if I can't address that here at this moment, I'm here all day. I'm not going to speak once and then leave the stage and be gone back to the States. If you need some help, let's chat for free outside. I'm more than willing to assist you. Okay. And as Vlad mentioned, everything there, love traveling, music, karaoke. Having this mic here reminds me of the Backstreet Boys, so it's a shame we're not doing karaoke, but maybe later on. Okay. All right, let's dive in. Okay, so the first trend that I think is big. You probably see a lot of different things on LinkedIn, but right now it is AI optimization. So if you look at it, there is AI to make generative creation. So anybody can create stories, videos, graphics. AI is being used to discover your employer brand, your profiles, with AI search results. There is also the ability to, go through the process in terms of candidate perception. Now, if you're familiar with AI, then you also know SEO, which is search engine optimization. So search engine optimization versus GEO is different. GEO is generative experience optimization. So for the longest time, we have always built our websites and our employer branding on the back end around your SEO. So you're using keywords. You want to be at the top of Google, Bing, or whatever search engine you use. That has changed. And that has changed for a big reason. If you go to Google right now and you put in, let's say, maybe GoDaddy or Intel, Meta, Facebook, whatever you want to put there, you are getting a breakdown. And that breakdown on the top is the AI example. That is your generative experience optimization. So it's basically taking a lot of what you would have on your culture page, your job descriptions, and it's making a quick assumption. So if you're only gearing towards SEO, you're actually shortchanging yourself, because job seekers are getting a quick example of what they see, and they're on to the next place. So you want to look at that and really value that. All right, the next is ethical and transparent AI usage. And it's a big reason behind this, because I know if all you are familiar with some of the AI movies, AI robots do eventually come over, they take over the world. I don't want that to happen, but I don't think AI is going to do that. But there is the fear that we would use AI in the wrong way, because there is always an issue with the bias meaning you can easily look at what's being created and assume, okay, it is naturally being done by me or by somebody else, and you want to make sure you're clear on how that's being done. The next piece is going to be on your data accuracy. You want to make sure you're being correct with the data. And I think I don't need to tell you all anything different. You are here in Europe. You are the founders, creators of GDPR. I think in the rest of the world we're a little bad about that. We're playing catch up slowly, but data accuracy is incredibly important. The other is, again, full disclosure. You want to make sure with your recruiting processes, if you're creating content, you're creating a job description, even the images and the videos that you put on there, you have to put out there how you're doing that. All right. So I chose this friend's, it was supposed to be a GIF, whatever you want to call that. Sometimes these don't really translate over too well with PowerPoint. But funny story here, I was with one of the tour guides on Monday. He was a massive Friends fan, so I want to include that because of him. And I'd also, he just really shared his passion for American television. So, but that's a story for another day. But this is just having honesty with what you're doing. So I'm always a big person who is a fan of authenticity, meaning whatever you're putting out there, it has to be authentic. I'm not a fan of putting stuff out there that is made up, that is really not the truth of what your employer branding is. It should be as truthful as possible. So with that, given if you can, right, it's not the same for every company, but you want to share the real data. If you have diversity metrics, if it's female versus male. At GoDaddy, we're very big about that. If you go to our website right now, if you go to our culture page, you will see the percentages that we have of male and female employees, the pay breakdown, and all that good stuff there. So if you can show that, always a good thing to be doing. You also want to admit the challenges. I think a lot of companies are so worried about being perfect. That's not a real example of an employer brand. It's not an example of who we are as people. So I encourage you to be very, very transparent with your challenges. Also, featuring real voices. I think every brand, it's typical in marketing to want to share everything and have it be really polished, but that's not necessarily what we're all looking for. Because if I'm going to look for my next employer, I'm going to their TikTok, Glassdoor, LinkedIn. I want to see actual people. So if I'm seeing all you here and you're on there and you're talking, it's not polished, there's not high-end graphics, that's more realistic to me. And the other is leadership accountability. That's the one thing that'll be tough to do for the US. So if I was doing employer branding for us, that'd be very, very difficult. But you want to do more than just share your diversity holidays, your heritage holidays. I think every company does that. I think, if we're honest with ourselves in employer branding, we all have some sort of holiday which we're going to put that out there. We're going to schedule that as social media content. And that can cover some things, but it does not help people stand out. Like if there is a big crisis issue going on, and I know there's a panel for that later, so I won't dive too much into it, but you want to be very honest about any setbacks. That shows maturity, it shows growth, and it shows a brand that is very truthful. All right, next one here. I can say I'm personally doing this right now. It is internal influencers and external influencers. So this is something you see more you don't see it too much on the HR, employer branding side of business, but it is something that it's big because you have employee advocacy, and I'll dive more into that. I'm a very big fan of that. But if you think about the companies you work for or the people you know, there are natural influencers. There's people who share no matter what. I have a couple people who I work with on my team that share on their own. They don't know that they're doing this, but they are basically content influencers. They're sharing different videos, images, and they do it all the time. Now, those are the people that you want to work with because they provide credibility. They're trusted voices. They have a network of their own, and over that they have just people who they naturally work with, right? And those are individuals who you want to empower them. Give them the ability to get out there and succeed. Outside of that, helping them out, celebrating them, because when they're doing this, they're really they love the company, they love where they're working, and you should take the opportunity to really embrace them. With internal communications, help shine a light on what the work that they're doing. Reward them if you can give them, days off if you're allowed to, points, any sort of recognition. Also, those individuals, help them out. Give them some content kits, anything that can help them really be more successful with what they're doing. Sorry, just a second. And the other one that is huge as well. So we're trying to get to the second phase, external influencers. So outside of the people who work for you, if there is someone out there who does a lot of different speaking and different work out there, say for employer branding, or if you're in the IT space, that can be your external influencer. So if you look at it for music, right? If you're a record label, you want your external influencer to be someone who's my favorite artist, Ed Sheeran. So if he's your influencer, right, you're getting a massive following. People will listen to him. Ed doesn't work for your company, but Ed he's pretty incredible. I think we can all agree on that. So that is a person who can help you, this external influencer, to really prioritize some reach, find some candidates in hard to reach markets, and really just create a lot of value for you. Okay. So this is one that I don't think we don't create these rules, but we have the ability to really use this as a tool, as a benefit. And that is advanced flexibility and hybrid work. So these are small things that go a long way because the world has changed. We went from 9 to 5 or however long we were working before in office to being stuck in our homes for 3 years. And then now everyone has a debate on, should we be in the office again? Should we be fully remote? Should we have the mix of things? But there are some ways to still highlight what you're doing. So I vouch for flexibility and hybrid. But some trends here are 4-day work weeks. Great if you can do them. It gives that person an extra day off, which is a huge benefit. What it costs you nothing at all to be doing that. The other is asynchronous first work. So if you're not a fan of having meetings all the time, especially on Fridays or Mondays, try working async. The next is borderless hiring. That is something we do quite a bit of at GoDaddy. I know a lot of companies are doing that too. The big caveat is you have to have a business entity, because everybody can say borderless hiring, but you need to actually be able to hire there in that country. But expanding outside of your reach. So if it's not just here in Bulgaria, look at Romania, Serbia, other countries, expand your hiring there. And the other is promoting wellness. Having something very similar or very simple, such as a wellness day. We actually have that at GoDaddy. And I can tell you, I'm a big beneficiary of that because we have it once per quarter. And I tend to forget that the wellness day is coming up. Hence the reason for the wellness day. But stuff like that, we have a No Meeting Friday or a focus, like we do focus time on Tuesdays. So you have those times dedicated. And you're not paying anything extra, but you're setting that time aside to really have it be a benefit to help your people succeed. Okay. Enough on the trends. We'll move on to some common mistakes here. Okay. So superficial employee advocacy. With that, first let me ask, is everyone familiar with employee advocacy? Get a show of hands. We got a couple folks. All right, there we go. Great. So with that, the issue with it is just working off vanity metrics. Impressions and clicks, they're nice. There's stuff that's there in dashboards. They don't mean anything to leadership. I can tell my CEO we have 1 million impressions. He'll say, great. What's the ROI? What does that mean? It doesn't tell him anything. The missing link. Everyone shares all these great videos. I know there's a great company in region, I think Bolt. They have a phenomenal program. But then for every program that does well like that, other programs cannot tell you, if I click on that advert on LinkedIn, does that result in a hire, an applicant? How many? What is the conversion rate? None of that is there. Everyone's great about sharing the photos and videos, but that's about it. And the other issue is it can be an unsustained effort, meaning people get very excited about things, like we all get excited about the World Cup every 4 years, and then we forget about our national football team, right? And that always fades away. At least in the U.S., it could be better about that, but it's something you want to be mindful of. So, a solution to fix that is having click-throughs when it comes to your career page, your adverts. Look at the engagement with your content, a deeper exploration into things that are there. Look at the application submission. And to be very truthful, this is something that we just really figured out not too long ago. So we'll dive more into the elevation piece of that, and I'll tell you exactly how we're doing it too. Also, the quality of hire, because when you're doing this, trust me, and we'll break that down again here too into the elevation pieces, but when you're looking at that, you still need paid job boards, but the quality of your candidates will be people who either in this room, on LinkedIn, TikTok, but you'll have a lot of data to work with, quantifiable data. Okay, and again, data without direction. I'm very big on data. If you're going to collect that, you need to do something with it. So collecting that without actually doing something with it to maybe have a monthly business review, a quarterly business review, to show that you need budget or something. You got to make it amount to something. The other key thing is having the wrong metrics. You want to make sure you're actually measuring for the right thing, because I think we all sit in different teams, and we'll debate that in a panel here in the coming hours, but what are your actual outcomes that you are going for? Because if you're just telling leadership you have 1,000 clicks, that's great. What happens? Why are we wasting 15,000 euros a year to run these recruitment marketing campaigns? They have to go to something. Another issue is no testing. You should be testing. Those are missed opportunities. A/B test everything you do. If it's organic content, if it is paid content, you always have the ability to test that, and you should be testing it. So for me, I think the framework, and this is what I follow, tie the work you're doing to business outcomes. And that doesn't mean, okay, hey, if I do this, the company gets, $1 billion in profit. That's not what it is. What it is, okay, typically each year, you have your SMART goals, you have your OKRs, whatever you want to call them at your company. What is your goal tied to? So if your goal is to increase diversity, if it is to increase hires in, say, Bulgaria, tie that metric to it. How can you, I guarantee you, and I can walk with you through that if you want to, you can take what you're doing, tie that all back to that, and that's going to show a positive result, which is great because it ensures the longevity of your job, which is something we all want. Have a very A/B testing experimental culture. We're on that journey at the moment at GoDaddy, and person EB, I think every person should be doing that. Also, that's one thing that one of the biggest companies in the world does, Google. They test everything no matter what, the number one company in doing that. So that is something we should all be leveraging. And storytelling is good, but do your storytelling through the numbers. Make that work for you. All right, the other issue is misunderstanding Gen Z. I know we say Z in the States, but it's Z elsewhere, so let's go with that. But making assumptions. Not everyone's on TikTok. Not everyone is on these different platforms. Not everyone who is Gen Z has given up on Facebook. So we all still have family there. I'm a millennial. I'm not Gen Z, but I can tell you that my kids are still on those platforms. Also, the myth is a short attention span. That's not the case. It's not short attention span. It is interesting content. If your content is garbage, people won't tune into it. That's just it's a proof. There's nothing that you can go past that. Also, superficial values. If you're telling people, Gen Z, to just join your company because you're great, what are you giving them? They're probably more like, they're very direct, like your C-suite. They want to see actual value behind what you're giving them. So, looking at what they value, they want a clear connection. What does the outcomes mean? Are there community efforts? Social governance? Can you actually have a direct impact? Are you green friendly? Are you having community days for the team? Do you use paper straws? That stuff kind of matters. You don't think it matters, but it does matter quite a bit. Honest communication, visual representation. Visual representation is huge. I'm very big on that as well. So people who look and sound like them. Because I can't tell you that we're hiring here in EMEA and I have an American from Seattle in a video. That's not visual representation. Also, growth pathways. How can I get into this job and actually grow? Because they're not looking to jump into a job and just be there for 20 years. It's a waste of their time. They're looking to keep moving and learning. All right. I want to save a little more time here to elevate your employer brand. So I'll walk through these, and we got a few minutes here. So if we don't go through everything, I'm happy to chat with you all after this conversation. But the first one is employee advocacy. So when this is done strategically, I can tell you it's pretty darn phenomenal. We're doing this right now. We are probably close to $500,000 in savings that I can go each month to share with our leadership and tell you, all right, this is why we need a new platform. This is why this is the way to go. Let's still keep the job boards, but maybe we don't need to give LinkedIn a $2 to $3 million contract every 3 to 4 years. We got a little thing with our teammates that we can leverage. So to really build this out and show the power behind this performance, you want to benchmark. So measure it side by side against a recruitment marketing platform. So in this case, let's look at LinkedIn or Google/YouTube. Look at how much it would be, and we'll dive into the examples down there in the bottom. But calculate the true return of investment. So track the cost per click, cost per application. Funnel that all the way through to show that there's true attribution from the advocacy. And you can do that inside of any one of your ATSs as long as you have a tracking link, and you can make that a source. Now, after that, combine all the metrics and demonstrate how exactly does it impact everything. So if you think about everything we talked about before, where you're showing the value, you're getting away from the vanity metrics, and you're finding out the business outcomes, you can tie that all together. So the calculation here, when you're looking at that, you want to look at, okay, how much are you saving? So any of these platforms, and trust me, we have the cheapest platform. We're a huge company. We spend under 3,000 euros for one Slack integration that simply does everything for us. And what we do is I look at the cost of the platform, and then we also have the monetary value of the results, right? So basically, if we know it is 18 euro CPC for a click on LinkedIn, and I run anybody can do this. You can go through on LinkedIn, you can run put up a hypothetical campaign and just say, okay, targeting customer service, engineers, front end, back end, HR, whatever you want, your locations. It will give you exactly how much it will be. You can configure that in the back end, and then you apply that to a share, engagement, a like, a click, a comment, whatever you want. And then at the end of the month, at the end of the quarter, you have enough data to work with that will show you exactly how much you're saving. And so beyond the cost savings there, you're going to get better candidates. I guarantee you that. better brand perception, because these are not your internal influencers, because they're on that level, right? But they are also ambassadors who are going to help you out, but also huge visibility by senior leadership. I can tell you this approach has helped out in so many ways where I've been doing this for 9 years. I've had the great benefit of doing that. And this is the most time I've had to showcase this with C-suite. So something really to look into. Okay, and AI to accelerate without headcount. So not all of us have a team of 5 or 6. That is very, very unrealistic in this space. But you can use AI as a differentiator. So without headcount, without budget, use it to create content. Obviously, it requires a lot of Q&A. ChatGPT is a wonderful option. There's also Gemini and Claude. You can use that for outreach personalization. So if you find yourself in a dual role where you're also sending out LinkedIn messages, that's an option for you. The SEO, GEO optimization, you cannot go wrong with using AI. Design and visuals. So Canva AI has come a long way. Adobe Firefly is, it's almost there. But you have the Canva AI, you can connect that with ChatGPT. Another one that I think people sleep on quite a bit is analyzing your analytics and insights. I literally took 5 different reports before coming here. I needed to look at our 2026 plan. I was able to analyze everything using our in-house version of GPT and get a result and insight into how we performed in 5 minutes. So why not do that? Save yourself some time. And then also to translate, because my Bulgarian's a little rough, right, as you heard before, but I can sound better if I have ChatGPT to help me out, and it saves you on translation services. Okay. All right, sorry, we're running a little short here in some minutes, but we'll power through. So to scale your function, that's the next level of maturity for employer branding, in my opinion. So you want to look at your team structure and how you can elevate that, right? Because you either sit in one of the many teams we all sit on, comms, marketing, talent acquisition, or you create a dotted line for regional support, or you have a service center, a center of excellence. But the most critical partnerships that you have, and I think this matters, I have succeeded when I have it, which is now. I have fallen flat on my face and lost my job when I didn't have this before. So these different teams and many more, you got to work with them. No matter where you sit, those are critical partnerships to help you be successful. Outside of that, repeatable systems. What are you using for your workflow? Get that automated and just have it be where everyone's using the same thing to really create content. Playbooks or employer brand toolkits are a must. Flexible frameworks, being able to be, having consistent branding and messaging, as well as your tech stack. Using proper tech stacks to really get your content out there and doing it in the best way possible, if I could talk correctly today. Okay, and just a quick breakdown here of GEO in action. So this is how AI represents your brand and how it's showing it to job seekers. You're seeing all this here. What's it like to work there? It's looking at all these different areas, and it's giving one response. So all the proof that you should be investing in that is something you can do right now for free, because if you're gonna essentially live or die by that one response, you want that to be as great as possible, very succinct, concise, and a true confirmation of really what your company is. Oh, sorry, a little squished up here. So this is a measurement framework. I can share this after the chat is over with. But for brand health and advocacy, you essentially want to show external, internal brand strength. For conversion and attribution performance, you want to be able to show that it's working, why and how. Also with the quality and retention, connect everything directly to your employer brand efforts. Because if you're not connecting all that and how you're impacting the company, it's a huge miss. And then strategic ROI alignment. Again, let leaders know, tie this back It has to have an impact. Google Analytics is something that we all have access to. Happy to walk you through that. There's plenty of great tools to share, but that can help lead you in the right direction. Okay. And we're on to Q&A. Sorry.
Thank you, sir. Very insightful, a very good basis.
Thank you. Thank you.
A great basis for what we do today together, and very good insights in terms of the key trends and also the mistakes that companies do. Now, a couple of questions that we have time from the audience. First one, is it possible to be too transparent? Are there things we as employers should not share?
Yeah, definitely. If there is internal stuff that is very confidential, you probably shouldn't share that. I mean, if you know you're probably about to have a redundancy, you wanna soften the blow, but you can't share that stuff, right? Like, I think everyone knows that. So common sense with it makes sense.
Thank you. And another one, regarding your point about using external influencers, do you think these practices could mislead the audience? They are just paid actors, aren't they?
They are, but what you're essentially trying to do is get that like a powerful reach and a powerful campaign in a short amount of time. But yeah, I mean, they are just actors. So you have, like, I would go internal first and external after that. That's why we're still on the first phase of the influencer idea that I suggested, and we're still looking at the second option to see, okay, who actually would be a good representation of the GoDaddy brand.
Excellent. And what I take for myself in terms of the influencers and the actor question, if you hire influencers, they better be good actors. Otherwise, you might get a wrong message. Thank you, Alex. Please, big applause.
Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Please.
Thank you. Yep.